Something is going on right now in Seattle. In a span of a couple hours, actually, you saw Tyler Lockett get released from Seattle, and DK Metcalf, who is their star wide receiver, requests a trade. I guess they're going in a new direction. I don't know. I know that cutting Tyler Lockett was smart financially for the team, and we've known that DK Metcalf has had issues with the team as of recently. I don't know him personally. I don't know what stems from these issues, but he has not been the happiest when we talk about the Seattle Seahawks. So the fact that a official trade request has come down, I'm actually more shocked at the fact that it hasn't happened sooner. But here we are. And kind of like Devontae Adams, I wanted to give my top 5 landing spots for DK. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, how is Devontae Adams' landing spots different from DK? I'm going to tell you. I think that they're both in two different places in their careers. I don't think Devontae Adams, even at his best, as far as right now, when we talk about his peak, that's much different. But right now, I don't think Devontae Adams is at the level of a consistent number one receiver anymore. Just due to age, due to, wear and tear on the body, I just don't think he can do that anymore. Again, we're not talking about peaks. We're not talking about primes. We're talking about right now. DK is different. DK is young, and he can be a number one receiver. Now, I don't know, because he does drop the ball a considerable amount. I don't know if he can be the number one receiver on a championship, like he can be the wide receiver on a championship caliber team. But I do think that he's good enough to, once he comes into the building, he is going to be your number one receiver. And I think that changes a lot when we talk about some of the teams. I know a team that I picked for Devontae Adams was the Cowboys. And while that would be a scary duo with DK Metcalf and CeeDee Lamb, I think that the Cowboys already have a solidified number one. So I don't think DK would fit on the Cowboys, because I don't think that he nor CeeDee Lamb is going to accept and should even accept a number 2 receiver role. I think Devontae Adams is at a point in his career where he can and should accept a number 2 role. So, with all that being said, let me give you the 5 destinations that I think DK Metcalf will be best at. Number 1, or 1 through 5, I guess number 5. I'll start with number 5. Number 5, honestly, these are no particular order. These are just 5 teams I think he can land. So I guess I'll start at number 1. Number 1, I have the Green Bay Packers. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, wait, Jalen, what the hell? You just said he'll be in defective number 1. What about Christian Watson? What about Romeo Doubs? You're absolutely correct. What an astute brain that you have. What I will say, though, is the issue with those players is they constantly get hurt. Like, they, as unfortunate as it is, Watson and Dobbs have an injury history at this point. And you need, as we saw last year, the damn near entire wide receiver room went down during at the end of the year. So if you pair DK Metcalf with a Jordan Love and you also have Josh Jacobs coming out the backfield, I think that would be a great pairing. DK Metcalf, he does not have an history. He's been hurt, but he doesn't have a history of being hurt. And he is a huge wide receiver and a huge target for a Jordan Love who at times struggles with accuracy. DK Metcalf is the comp, even though I don't think, I think when I hear this, in fact, I'm probably not even going to say this because I think it's disrespectful when they say it. He has a large catch radius, and he's just a large individual. So it allows a quarterback who may struggle at times with accuracy a little bit more breathing room because you're passing to such a reliable, when we talk about catch radius, such a reliable target. While yes, I do understand that DK Metcalf does drop the ball from time to time, he is, when he's at his best, he's good enough to be that type of receiver. So I have Green Bay as a great landing spot. Another landing spot I have is the Chargers. Look, right now, we can honestly say that right now the Quentin Johnston experiment has not worked. I'm not saying he's not a decent receiver. I'm not saying that he can't be on the roster. I'm not saying that he hasn't contributed for the Chargers. What I'm saying is you draft him as high as you draft him to be your number one receiver out of TCU. He has not done that. In fact, last year, the number one receiver for the Chargers was Ladd McConkey, who was a rookie. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a rookie can't be your number one receiver and you not have success. But what I'm saying is that's not what usually happens. On top of that, that wasn't in the game plan for the Chargers when they drafted Quentin Johnston. So I understand that the last game of the season for the Chargers was in the playoffs and Justin Herbert had a horrible game. However, if you look at Ladd McConkey, he had the game of his life. So what I'm saying is you can take some of the responsibility off Ladd McConkey, who again was a rookie last year, and give it to DK Metcalf. That just opens up the offense exponentially. I know they just cut Joey Bosa, so they have room and they have money that they can use elsewhere. So maybe the Chargers could be the landing spot for DK. Once he goes there, he is the definitive number one receiver. You have a great number two in Ladd McConkey. Now Quentin Johnston probably slides to 3. So there's not as much on his shoulders, seeing though he hasn't proven the ability to carry a number one receiver title. So, or 2 at this point. And I think the Chargers would be a great place for him. And it gives Justin Herbert a weapon that he hasn't had. DK Metcalf is a different type of receiver. I saw somebody on Twitter say this. Shouts out to them. I don't remember the name, so I can't give you the proper credit, but they said he's a Temu AJ Brown, and I completely agree. He's a large physical wide receiver. Just like AJ Brown. It's just AJ Brown is better, in my opinion. So if you want a Temu AJ Brown, that would be great for the Chargers. So I think the Chargers is another great pick. Honestly, another one is the Chicago Bears. You don't know what's going to happen with Keenan Allen. Is he going to stay or is he going to go to somewhere else? I think right now all signs are pointing to him going somewhere else. Yes, you have Cole Kmet. Yes, you still have DJ Moore. Yes, you still have Rome Odunze. At this moment, you can argue if DJ Moore is better, but I would probably lean towards DK Metcalf. So it gives outside of Cole Kmet, it gives Caleb Williams a physical receiver that they have not had. Remember, the pairing of Keenan Allen and Caleb Williams was delayed because Keenan Allen was hurt. So I don't think, mind you, if he goes to a Green Bay, if he goes to a Chargers, if he goes to a Chicago, I don't know if that makes them a Super Bowl caliber team. But I do think that I do think that makes them much better than they would be if they didn't trade him or trade for him. So I know Chicago, they have a lot going. They have a new coach. They're still trying. They have a really good defense. They're still trying to figure everything out offensively because they have a bunch of free agents, one being Keenan Allen. I think that DK Metcalf would be great for them. Another, and I don't know if DK Metcalf want to go here because if you request a trade, and I know that reports are coming out that he wants to play for a contender, so I don't know if this one is going to be one, but I think he would be great for Carolina. Adam Thielen's getting up there in age. Actually, Adam Thielen is up there in age. And outside of that, I can't really name you another receiver that is dependable. On top of that, DK Metcalf is better than Adam Thielen. When they had Adam Thielen, when they brought him in, I think it was quick that they found out, oh yeah, he's not at that level in his career anymore where he can be a number one receiver. This isn't Minnesota. So you give Bryce Young a legit number one receiver, and now you have a legit number two in Adam Thielen. You still have Chuba Hubbard. I think that's a great pairing. Now, I don't think that that's going to put them over the top. I don't think with DK they're now a Super Bowl contender. But I do think that Carolina would benefit both. Well, we did see towards the end of last year Bryce Young have a great end of the season. Like, he looked like the Bryce Young that went number one and should have went number one. If we get that Bryce Young moving forward with a DK, that changes the complexion of this Carolina Panthers team tremendously. So I don't know if it's going to happen. I doubt it's going to happen, but I think DK would be an incredible pickup for the Carolina Panthers. And the last team is the Broncos, Denver Broncos. Courtland Sutton is your guy. We get that. And you can debate if Courtland Sutton is still, well, let me say this. If Courtland Sutton is better than DK Metcalf. That can be a debate. I don't think it's that wide of a margin. But when you have a young quarterback, and if you see we can talk about some years they've been in the league as long as they've been, but Jordan Love is a young quarterback. Justin Herbert is a young quarterback. Caleb Williams is a young quarterback. Bryce Young is a young quarterback. When you have a young quarterback, the one thing that is important and vital, in my opinion, is you have a quality support system around them. That goes with coaches. That goes with the skills unit. You need somebody. You need stability and skill around them. And when you look, the Denver Broncos has a lot of skill, whether we talk about, again, Sutton, whether we talk about Mims, Franklin. They have some good pieces. Obviously, you can debate Sutton and DK, but I don't think any of them are better than DK Metcalf. I think Sutton's close, but I just don't think he's better than DK Metcalf. You bring DK Metcalf to that Denver Broncos team, a Denver Broncos team that also has the Defensive Player of the Year, or reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Patrick Surtain. That might be, I think, the two best teams that could maybe bring them over the top and put them really into contention would be the Green Bay Packers and the Broncos. If you bring DK Metcalf. Green Bay has an incredible defense, even though we are going to see what happens with Zaire Alexander. Yeah. I think DK Metcalf is a clear number one receiver and can be and will be a number one receiver any team that he goes to. And I think that the Green Bay Packers, the Chargers, the Bears, the Panthers, and the Broncos would be perfect destinations for him. I can see a bunch of other places. I mean, when you have a wide receiver as good as him, he can work anywhere. The only difference is how much you would be paying him for his services. You don't want him to have to dim his services, which is really the conversation between number one and number two. You have to dim some of your light if you're a number two, but sometimes you don't have to dim it that much because you're not at that level to be dependable enough to be a number one, which is nothing wrong with that. But like Curtis Samuel, and I'm not throwing him under the bus or whatever, but Curtis, perfect example, actually. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I think there's no question that Devontae Smith is good enough to be a number one receiver. I think if Devontae Smith was on 20-something different teams, he'd be the de facto number one receiver. If he was on the Chargers, Devontae Smith would be the number one receiver. The issue with, or the dynamic and issue that he has in Philly is A.J. Brown has been a little bit more dependable. He's a bigger wide receiver. He is more physical. On top of that, A.J. Brown would have to dim his light more than Devontae Smith would have to dim his light if A.J. Brown was to go from a number one to a number two receiver. Devontae Smith going from a 1 to 2, you don't have to dim it that much because he's accepted that role, and he's accepted the fact of, all right, well, A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown. I don't know if DK is at that point of his career, which is why I have some of the teams that he have. Like, yes, it'd be crazy if he was paired alongside a CeeDee Lamb. If he was, we just talked about the Bengals. If he was on the Bengals with Jamar Chase, or if he was on the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, that'd be insane. But that's less likely to happen because I don't think DK is ready to take that back seat yet. That's all I'm saying. So the Green Bay Packers, the LA Chargers, the Chicago Bears, the Carolina Panthers, and the Denver Broncos, in my opinion, would be perfect for DK. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.